The fifth annual update on the city's bicycle programs will take place tomorrow night at the Copley Square Library. The event will be in the RAB Lecture Hall from 6 to 8:30 with a presentation by the director of Boston Bikes, Nicole Friedman. There will also be time for questions from the audience. The event's hosted by the Livable Streets Alliance, a nonprofit that advocates for design to promote safe streets and vibrant communities. And joining us is our guest from the Alliance is the program director, Oberg. Thank you very much for being with us, Kara.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, the bike news of today is what happened yesterday afternoon, another fatality. And if you look at what happened the last year and a few years before that, it seems a lot of these accidents in Boston, there's this corridor seemingly from the Back Bay into Allston. So I guess maybe the way streets are designed can maybe account for some of this.
The way streets are designed is a huge factor, and at Livable Streets we work to create safer streets for everyone using our roads, not just people bicycling, but people walking, taking the T, pushing a baby carriage, an old person, crossing the street, and designing our streets for all people, regardless of their age or ability. And form really affects function, and how you design a street affects the safety for everyone.
Is there any particular redesign opportunity you can talk about Livable Streets being involved in, let's say, over the past year or two?
Yeah, we've been working all over. We work all over the Boston region, and one of our campaigns is our Neighborhoods Not Highways campaigns, and we've been working over the Casey overpass and working to level the overpass and redesign the street for all people, as I mentioned before, and not having an outdated overpass from the 50s, but really designing the street for today and for the future moving forward for all people.
I know the Casey overpass, that there are some people who like being able to drive a car and not stop at an intersection, but talk about the other people who need to go along that way through Jamaica Plain, the pedestrians, people on bikes. What do you gain by having everything at surface?
Yeah, so at Livable Streets we ask the question, how can you get all people through an area the most efficient way, the safest way, not necessarily a car from point A to point B the fastest, but how can you safely and efficiently move a bunch of people? And it's not really about intersections, it's about equal space for everyone. And even though, a street can have an intersection, which an additional intersection will happen with Casey, it won't necessarily reduce the travel time or increase the travel time for a person in a car, but instead it will allow more predictability of knowing that there will be a person in a bike lane to your right, instead of not having to be aware of anything when you're going over an overpass.
Of course, one of the other locations where we're going to see some changes in the kind of traffic is going to be the Longfellow Bridge.
Yeah, the Longfellow Bridge is a really big campaign of Livable Streets. It's part of our Better Bridges campaign. The state of Massachusetts has an accelerated bridge program, and they're redoing over 200 bridges across the state, and Livable Streets is working on the 6 across the Charles. And we have won a reduced travel lane going from Boston to Cambridge, and this will include a cycle track, which is a separated bike facility going into Cambridge, and a widened sidewalk. And when you go over the Longfellow Bridge, it's one of the most beautiful views of the Boston region. And Livable Streets' vision is really to have it be a public space and a promenade and a place for all people who are crossing the bridge, and at the same time getting people safely and efficiently across the bridge.
Well, there's a trade-off here, and there's going to be less room for motorized traffic, if I recall, on the side of the bridge where there isn't as much traffic.
Correct.
But,
there's more people that travel from Cambridge to Boston than Boston to Cambridge, so you don't need the 2 lanes going.
And the gain for people on bikes is that before the changes, it has been kind of tricky as far as being...
Yeah, so the Longfellow Bridge is my commute to work. I live in the North End, and I commute to Central Square in Cambridge, and I bike over the Longfellow. And it can be a little scary when you have cars going 50 miles an hour to your left. And with our street design that we won, it'll be a separated facility. So you'll feel safer, and you will be safer by having a separated piece of pavement between the car and the person on biking.
What about some of the design opportunities in Boston? Because we now, under the leadership of Mayor Menino and Nicole Friedman, we have a lot more bike lanes in the city, but we still hear some worries, even from bicyclists, saying, there isn't much room there because no sooner do you get away from the traffic than you have to worry about getting doored. So it seems that this is still a difficult city to work with, maybe.
Yeah, so there's always challenges when working with street design. I definitely invite everyone to come to the bike update tomorrow. Nicole Friedman, the director of Boston Bikes, is the expert on these things in terms of street design for the city. So I invite everyone to come ask their questions to Nicole, and she's going to be having an hour presentation reporting on everything that's happened over the past 5 years since the bike program has come to fruition in the city, and also especially asking questions. So anyone and everyone that has a question about biking in Boston should come tomorrow to the event.
Well, your organization works with a lot of people who have these focuses on their own neighborhood or their own community, and you have a training program coming up for people who really want to work on a particular street.
Yeah, so Livable Streets, one way that we create change in the area is through our Street Ambassador program. And we train volunteers to go out into neighborhoods and on streets and let people know what's happening in their neighborhood. And we have a training happening June 11th at noon and at 5:30 at our office in Cambridge. And it's a great way for people that like talking with their neighbors, like talking about street design, and really transportation and how we can all make the Boston region a better place to live, work, and play.
And of course, this is not just strictly about bikes. This could be a street where people are worried. It could be a side street, for example, and you have cars and trucks coming off a main street. They tend to go fast, and you're trying to say, is there a way to make that slow down a little bit?
Absolutely. At Livable Streets, we're not just working for better biking, but better walking, public transit, and driving as well. We can all have a better way of getting around our city, having it be safer and easier for everyone.
So if people would like to find out more about your organization, you've got something online that they can go check out?
Yeah, livablestreets.info, Twitter @StreetsBoston, and like us on Facebook at Livable Streets.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From Livable Streets, Kara Oberg. Still to come, an update on funding for youth violence prevention.